Hey there, this is Lettie Wilkes. I'm back. I'm wedding and event coordinator. You've seen my podcast that got started about how we were going to talk about events and weddings and all the preparation and planning and ins and outs. So I'm here today to start out the actual podcast. And today the focus point is going to be in selecting your event venue or your wedding venue. There's a lot that goes into this. So I'm going to go through, again, all the ins and outs today. And I'm going to reference my notebook because, again, there's just so much. Being an experienced venue owner myself, I'm a co-owner with my sister at Elmwood Farm Bed Breakfast. And at this point, I've done 174 weddings within 9 years. And again, the events are endless. I can't even count how many events at this point that I've actually done. And with that comes a lot of experience. And so I just want to share that. I did a blog last year and kind of just touched point on some things. And a lot of people reached out to me like, wow, that was so informative. We would love to see you share some more things. So that's why I am here today. And you will be seeing me more on with this podcast. I'll have other vendors that I bring in and they'll get to share their professional experience because, again, I have the venue experience. And I have experience working with those vendors, but I don't work in their professional area. So tune in a little bit. You might want to take some notes as well. Again, trusty notebook. So that's the first thing I'm going to talk about when you're finding your event space or your wedding space is to first get a notebook, get a folder where you're jotting things down, and you need to be organized. If you're not a very organized person, maybe the person's help planning the event with you is, or your fiance is, but prepare yourself to maybe be organized. So get a trusty notebook. First of all, when you are going to search for your venue, you need to do some research beforehand. So before you start calling these venues, research the area that you're looking at. Is this going to be an event that you're going to have locally where you live? Is this going to be more of a destination type of event for you? So you're going to research areas where you're going to actually be having this wedding or your event. Some things you need to take in consideration. In the location, is it easy for guests to find? Is it easy for guests to attend? If they're coming from out of town, is there lodging around in proximity to where you actually want to host this event? Is there accessibility for handicap? Is it easy for handicapped people to get in and out? Because you might not have a person that you're planning for, but things do happen over time. By the time you plan your event and schedule event to the actual date, and you might have somebody that actually has a need. So those are things that you really need to take in consideration, even though it's your event. Your guests are the people that are attending your event, and they are the people that first and foremost are going to be the ones that are going to complain to you or to the venue owner the most. So take that in consideration because they are very important. The other thing in selecting your venue and when you go and visit them is to take in consideration your vendors. And what I mean by vendors, I mean your caterer, your florist, your photographer, your DJ or band. These are all things that need to be taken into serious consideration because they need to be equipped appropriately for those vendors. It can really make it a challenge for all those people I just stated if they don't have the right materials for them to come up with and produce your vision and what you want to have happen. So again, accessibility and the location for your guest, handicap accessibility, and is it going to be easy for your vendors to do a successful job with the place that you pick? Again, I mentioned about out-of-town people. If it is a destination, you need to take in consideration of several things. One, is there lodging close by, or is there lodging on site? And what is this cost going to incur for your out-of-town guest? A lot of times, people don't think about that. Their attitude is, well, if they can't make it, they can't make it because they can't afford it. And you really don't want to put that into consideration. You want it to be affordable for anybody so they can make it to your special day or your special event. In going to see your wedding venue, after you've done your research, you're going to want to sit down and book a tour. And with that venue, you want to take in consideration in booking a tour Do they only have certain days that they do this? Are they open and flexible to any time that works for your schedule? Do they ask you to pay a cost? Some venues you pay a fee to take a tour, some venues you don't. Again, some have limited days that they only do tours on, and some are very flexible and do it any day that works for their schedule and your schedule. Also, every venue has a different budget range. They have different price points of what they provide and what they provide. So when you're starting out, kind of look at the venue and see what their packages are. And then if that is not something in your budget range, go ahead and ask them, are they flexible off of that budget? Because it might work for your budget, it might not work for your budget. And you might also find out that they're also very flexible in making it work for your budget. In selecting, there's a lot of venues that only allow limited hours. So what does that look like? Do they do multiple events a day? Do they do multiple weddings in a weekend? And do they have limited hours? You only have the actual venue for 8 hours, or you have unlimited accessibility. These are all very important things. There's a lot of venues that might do a wedding Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They might do 2 events in one day. And that's going to incur a lot of limited hours for you to do all your prep, cleanup, and whatever your vision is to make this a special moment, whether it be a baby shower, a bridal shower, a birthday party, or your wedding come to light. Do they have extra charges if you tack on extra hours? Do they allow extra time for decorating and undecorating? I know one time I had an experience that I had an hour before to decorate and an hour after to undecorate. And I'm going to tell you right now, not a good experience. So these are all things I'm mentioning you need to take note of, you need to be prepared for, and questions you need to ask when visiting your potential sites that you might host your event. Do they have an on-site coordinator? Believe it or not, having an event helper, or just when you're even scheduling something small, it's nice because you want to be able to actually enjoy the event that you worked really hard to plan and organize. A wedding, that's a whole nother level, folks. You need a coordinator. You need a coordinator. And I will get back into actual coordinating, what a good coordinator is, what a not so good coordinator is, in another blog post. So I'm not going to dig too deep into that, but if you're planning a wedding, you need a coordinator. And what are the experiences with them? Like some people I say say they're a coordinator and they're not too much of a coordinator. So again, I'll touch base on that later in a podcast, but that's just something you need to know when you're seeking out your venue. Do they have locations for your bridal party to get ready? Or if you are going to have a bridal shower and you're going to help your mom or your aunt, your uncle, or whoever, or a groomsman party. I've heard of a groom's party, a shower. It's really cool. But do they have a space where you can set up and then change your clothes? Because you're going to be doing stuff in and out to try to get ready for this. So events, it's just as important as a wedding. Do they have locations for the bridal party to get ready, or do you have to get ready off-site? The thing about that causes a lot of problems, and I'm going to touch base back on vendor, is when you're going from point A to point B, traveling from here to there, you make the job on your photographer and your videographer very difficult. So if they can be at one location, that is like a dream come true for a photographer and a videographer. Coming and going and getting a car, not a good idea. In saying that, for the bridal locations, is there somebody that is coming in to do your hair and makeup? Do they have an actual location? Or are they stuck in a corner with a random chair and they're supposed to create this masterpiece for you, and they really have no location to do that? They don't have a mirror, they don't have any of that stuff. And most of them are fully equipped, but it certainly does make their life, and they will tell you, again, that'll be a person I bring in, they will tell you that it's very nice when they actually have a location where they can create this masterpiece and make you look like you're supposed to on your special day. What does the venue provide? Okay, so when we talk about a venue, a lot of times people sometimes consider their backyard. Nothing absolutely wrong with that, but they don't take consideration to all these things that go into this, okay? And when I'm saying what does the venue provide? Is this an inside venue completely? Is this an outdoor venue where you're going to have your ceremony outside and then transition into your reception space inside, or maybe your reception is going to be outside? What does that involve? What do they include? There's got to be ceremony chairs. There's got to be reception chairs, reception tables. There's got to be setups for, is there a location for your DJ? Where does the caterer set up? Are you going to have a bar? Do they allow alcohol? So do you need a tent? What's the rain plan if it's an outdoor ceremony? These are questions you need to ask the venue to what they provide. Do they provide the tables and chairs? Or are you going to have to rent all that? Do the chairs that they provide for the ceremony have to then be transitioned to your reception space? That means most likely your guests are going to have to carry their chair from the ceremony to the reception space. Not a good idea to have your guests have to carry their own chair to the reception space. So these are all areas that are very important, because guess what? If your venue does not provide these items, that's a cost to you, and you're going to have to find a rental company that has all these things. The whole way down from tables, chairs, tents, dance floor, other tables, cocktail hour tables, linens. The tables they might provide might not be something you have to provide all the linens for. So do they provide the tablecloths for those tables, or do you have to rent them as well? So I'm talking about areas that the dollar sign right now is going cha-ching, 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 okay? So you need to know going into it, is this place providing this, or if this place isn't providing it? You're going to get the best bang for your buck, obviously, for a venue that is going to come equipped with all these items. And also something you need to ask is, with all these items they may or may not have, or are they going to help you set these up and tear these down, or are you solely responsible for that yourself? Some venues have all the materials, but you are solely the one responsible for setting it up and tearing it down. And with that comes a lot of hours beforehand and then hours afterhand. So you need to have a team. You need to get all your friends and family, your bridal party. Again, for events and weddings, it's going to take a team to put it together. So ideally, it's going to be a situation where you're going to want to find a place that is going to be very involved, and they're going to set it up for you, and they're going to tear it down for you. Plus, they're going to know where all their items are and what they can provide. Also, what does the venue, do they provide any decorations for your event? Or will they help you with explaining to you what they possibly have to create your vision? Or are you solely responsible for it yourself? With that comes other things that are going to come in my podcast. So how do you form your decorations? Pinterest is a great avenue. We'll touch base about that later. And of course, your florist, if you decide to use a florist, is going to be a major help in getting that day of prepared for you, or for your event or wedding. If you're a DIY person, you just need to be very organized, have it all planned out ahead of time. And again, that's going to be another podcast. I'm just making bullet points today of all these things you need to think about when you're going in to tour for your venue. Again, I talked about accessibility for handicap. What does parking look like at this venue? And again, when you go and research for your venue, you're also looking for how many people can this venue accommodate? Are you having an event that you're going to have 200 people, 150 people, 30 people, 40 people? As you can see, everybody has a different occupancy level for whatever they're hosting. So if you're researching and the venue can only hold 50 people and you're looking for 150, obviously that's not going to be your place. So in saying that, whatever your venue you're looking at and whatever your occupancy of guest count is going to be, what does their parking situation look like? Do people have to walk a mile? Is it close accessibility? Do they have the handicap parking, or can a handicapped person be dropped off and the person bringing them take the vehicle to a different location? Is there a transport like a golf cart or something like that? Or will they even allow you to bring that? Very, very important. Another thing is, when I talk about parking, Does the venue provide a parking attendant, meaning somebody to direct people when they come in? Is there signage? Because I'll tell you, first and foremost, people are clueless when it comes to parking. If you don't have somebody to direct them, you will have cars parked willy-nilly all over the place, not even in a parking designated location, even if there is a sign. So if the venue does not provide that, you need to designate somebody in your family, a close friend that you want to be a part of the event, but you know is organized and good at managing and directing people, because a parking attendant is very important. And again, even if they have signage, people still will not follow the plan. They think they're just going to park wherever they want to. So take that in consideration. What is accessibility to electricity? And I bring this up because, and again, there will be another podcast where I have a band member come in and the DJs come in. But if you have this outdoor ceremony and it's out in a beautiful field and there's a garden behind the backdrop, or we're out in the woods somewhere and here comes the DJ and there's no electrical outlet to produce your ceremony music, the music for your dancing, whatever event you're having, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration, because they get there sight unseen and it's, oh crap, what am I going to do? So they need to be prepared ahead of time. And guys, this is not let them know a week in advance. This is let them know far notice. So if this is your vision and this is where you want to be, that they can prepare for that. Or they can tell you, hey, look, I can't provide this service for you. You're going to have to find somebody else that can. So take note of those things. A lot of times when people book a band, it's a great event. They create an awesome experience for your wedding or your party, but they do have a lot of requirements. So you need to go through that contract with them and see what those requirements are, so that you know that the venue can actually accommodate that as well. And I'm talking about power source. Sometimes the 220 electricity is not going to cut it for your band, because they have a lot of equipment and they have serious things that they have to put together. Also, might require a stage. They might require some covering if it's an outdoor event. So these are all things that you need to take note of. A DJ is also going to make sure that they're in a space where the sun isn't beating on them, nor their equipment is not getting sun beat, because that equipment is very expensive and they have to make sure that's taken care of, as well as weather. Next thing that brings up a point, I talk about weather. So with your venue, if it's an outdoor venue, which a lot of people in today's trends and styles like that look, what's plan B? Rain comes into play. Thunderstorm rolls in. What is option B? Are we going to have accessibility to a tent, or are we going to have an indoor facility that we can transition into? I know currently for my situation, when I work with my clients, we always have plan B. They know what that transition is going to be. We've already prepared for that, and we know what that's going to look like. If you plan an outdoor event, you have to have the mindset that you're going to be flexible and that could happen. If you are dead set on something like that, then don't pick an outdoor venue. You have to be open-minded and you have to be flexible and already know in your mind what that vision is going to look like for your plan A and your plan B. So that needs to be a quick transition. Also, for catering, and when I bring the caterer in here, they're going to share a lot of details with you. But what is at your ceremony site or your venue site for the caterer? Do they have a prep area where they can stage things, they can get things ready, they can get the food prepared? Are there ovens? Is there a refrigerator? Is there ice? Do they have a space to work with? A lot of caterers will go to a place and they have to set up their own tent. There's not even running water, okay? We need to have a place that has running water. And I'm not talking about, hey, this is where you're going to set up and here's the garden hose and that's where you get running water. That's not potable water and that's not drinkable water for guests. So again, you need to consider these options. They most certainly should have a place a location they can set up a tent is not ideal, but if they have a prep area where they can work behind the scenes and create your masterpiece, because a caterer is supposed to create wonderful food, create this masterpiece for your reception, but they're not supposed to be in the eye of your event. So what does that look like? Do they have all those things? Does your venue have linens? Again, we talked about that. Did they have plateware? Do they have utensils? Do they have napkins? What do they have? What do they provide you? Or what does you need to have provided for your catering service? And there's all types of catering service. Again, I'll get into that on another podcast. But there's high-end catering that provide a full-on catering service. And then there's other caterers. And we'll talk about the differences in that. And what you create as your vision is fine, but you need to be aware of what full-on catering is and what is a different type of catering service. Also, bathroom facilities at your venue. You know, if they have a facility for you to get ready, obviously day of, they're obviously going to have bathroom facilities. But if they're off-site location and it's outside and maybe you're using a tent, you might have to rent a restroom trailer. Or you might be as basic as you'll rent a porta-john, but I wouldn't recommend that. But that's going to also require another cost. So what do your venue bathrooms look like? How many do they have? Are they handicap accessible? And if you are renting a trailer or something like that, you need to also take in consideration handicap accessibility. If it's a restroom trailer and has 5 steps up and we have a person in a wheelchair, you're creating a major problem. As a venue owner, I have a lot of people sometimes that are guests and they're going to attend the event and they just call because they are handicapped and they're like, hey, I'm just calling to see if I'm actually going to be able to attend this event or not due to your handicap accessibility and what my disability and needs are. So take that in consideration. You're probably going to know your guest, but again, sometimes things happen. You know, somebody might break a leg and they're on crutches or in a wheelchair that you didn't predict. So take it in consideration because again, this is your event, but your guests are the people that are coming and they're going to be the people that complain and ask questions. A lot of venues, they're going to require you to have maybe event insurance or wedding insurance. So take that in consideration. Some venues require it and some venues don't because they have enough insurance that they take care of their own liabilities, but some it's a must. So a question to ask. And also ask the parameters of what you can do. And that can be a wide variety of parameters I'm talking about. So let me give you a good example. You have a backdrop that you want to use in the reception space, but it has to be hung. Well, is the ceiling in this place like hundreds of feet? Or is it 12 feet? Does it require cabling? Are you going to have chandeliers that need to drop from the ceiling? How does that work? And what are the parameters? Do they allow it? Don't they allow it? You have a special sign that you want to hang, and you want to hang it on a wall. Well, how are you going to hang it? Is there electricity near this? A lot of times, extension cords from the fire marshal is going to be we can't use those. So you need to ask all these questions. A lot of times people come in and have this wonderful vision, and it's beautiful and it's awesome. And with the styles and the trend and social media today, we all get these awesome ideas, but we have to make sure that it's conducive for the space that we're using. So you want to talk all those things through with the person that's touring you around with this vision, or your coordinator or anybody that you might be working with. So take that in consideration. A lot of times a venue is going to have a time constraint. We talked about that, but I'm talking about your reception. What time can it end? Is it midnight? Is it 2 a.m.? Is it, is there a noise ordinance? What does that look like? With the sound, does your DJ or your band have a decibel rate that they can only exceed? So that is a real thing. So you need to ask those questions too. And again, later on, I'm going to have these awesome vendors in here talking. I'm going to ask them questions. And those specific people that are professional in those areas that I'm touching base upon, they're going to be able to give you all the ins and outs, just like I am giving you today about a venue. Alcohol, it's always a big topic. So there's multiple ways that alcohol can be handled, and this is state to state. Again, I'm reaching a lot of you today in multiple states, in different areas. So, locally, I have some different things that I work with. I have parameters of people that I work with due to the population and the demographic. But if you're, for instance, down in a big metropolitan area, the cost of things are going to be a lot higher. Parking is going to be a lot different. requirements are going to be a lot different. So take consideration your area again, and I'm talking about alcohol. So like I live in a tri-state area where I'm in Maryland, but I'm a mile from West Virginia and I'm about 11 miles from Pennsylvania. So in my tri-state area, there's going to be different regulations from West Virginia to Maryland to Pennsylvania to Virginia, and you get what I'm talking about. So see what those parameters are. Can you provide your own alcohol and then have a TAM-side bartender? And how's that look like? Cash bar to you're asking your guests to pay, to if you're not asking your guests to pay. It's kind of hard, I think, in a perspective, and I tell my clients, it's really hard to ask a guest to come to something you're asking them to come to, and then you're asking them to pay for something. So I would take it highly in consideration that you take care of your guest. And if you don't have a big budget for that, or that's not an important area to you, keep it simple. Keep your alcohol and your bar simple. If it's something that's really important to you, then obviously you're going to get more elaborate, and you're going to want to make sure that you have somebody serving, again, that's completely certified, has all the licensing to serve, because there are things that they have to obey, and also that they can actually make and mix a signature drink or the actual cocktail that you're requesting. I will have an actual, again on another podcast, an actual mixologist come in here, and they will be able to give you the ins and outs of the bar. But some venues might not allow alcohol, and some venues might only allow alcohol provided from a caterer. The next point I want to bring up is, does your venue require a preferred vending list? And what does that mean? Meaning they have one caterer you can use, they require the only photographer, the florist, you have to use who they tell you to use. Some people that's not a problem for, but others have their own vision and they have their own people they'd like to use. And so you want to make sure that the venue has some flexibility with that. I'm a person that I don't really want to be told what to do, so I don't want to tell my client what to do. So, they might have a preferred caterer that doesn't even have a type of menu that you even would consider for your event or your wedding. If that's the case, then that's probably not the place for you. So take that in consideration. And along with that, if it is a preferred list, that also comes into play, probably a price point. So is that going to work for your budget? If you're dead set on that venue and they have a preferred vendor list and you have to use them, and that's the place you really want to go, then you're going to have to be set on using the preferred vendor list. So just ask. I know, again, with the styles and the trends and all the resources we have today with social media and our face, we all create this awesome vision of what we want our event to look like or our wedding to look like. So, you got to make sure that it's a place that can kind of be conducive to what your thoughts and perspective is. So when you take this tour and you take all these ideas and thoughts that I've just shared with you, and I know it's a lot, and you might have to watch this podcast multiple times and get out your trusty notebook and jot things down. When you're done, whether it's a place for you and not a place for you, have the kind courtesy to follow up with the venue and say, hey, I really appreciate your time. It's not going to be the place for me. Just so they know that they can document, because believe it or not, weekly there are things going on with a venue owner, and I'll speak for myself. I have people contact me daily for events and daily for weddings, and I'm constantly doing tours, and I'm the one majority of the time has to follow back up, because if they're looking at a potential date, I want to make sure that they have the first right to that date. And if I have somebody that comes and meets with me that's looking at that same date, I have to say, hold up, I have somebody else that might be considering that. And if you never follow up, what are they going to do? So just have the common courtesy. Don't ghost them. Just say, hey, it's not the place for me, and I thank you for your time. It's just, again, the common courtesy thing to do. Hopefully I've shared a lot of material here. And again, some of these bullet points I've talked about today, I'm going to come back in future podcasts. Again, I'm going to have vendors, or it might just be me sharing more in depth in what I shared with you today. And I know it's overwhelming and there's a lot that goes into it, but hopefully this will be an awesome resource for you so that you go into your planning and you already have some steps to it that you've taken care of, you've researched and made a life a little bit more simpler and less stress on you or your family or who's ever helping you plan this special moment, event, or wedding for yourself. And lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to River Spirit Media here in Williamsport, Maryland, as they're helping me with this podcast. And at the end, everybody have a good day. See you soon, and I'll be back with more.